Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Yeah, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we are in Adilila, chapter 7, Lord Caitanya in 5 features. So for the last few classes we have been discussing how Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have been defeating the indirect explanation of Vedanta Sutra given by Shankaracharya. And in the last class, we were discussing Shankaracharya. He explained Brahma to be impersonal, without any quality, without any energy. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been explaining that Brahma Tattva, which have been explained in Vedanta Sutra and all the Vedas, it indicates a person who has a form, who has qualities, who has different energies. So, in today's verse 139, he said, Swarup Aishwarya Tare, Swarup Aishwarya Tar Nahi Maya Gandha, Sakala Veder Hoy Bhagavan Se Sambandha. So, when we discuss about the original form of the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan, his form is eternally free from Maya, Maya Gandha. Contamination of the material world is not seen in the original personality, original form of the Lord. And all the Veda introduces him as the ultimate goal. So he is the Sambandha Tattva. So therefore, he continues that the way Shankaracharya has explained Brahma Tattva is faulty. According to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's explanation, Tare Nirvishesh Kahi Chit na Mani. So Shankaracharya, he says Tare. Tare means, before we said, Bhagavan se sambandha sakal veder hoy. In all the Vedas, Supreme Personality of Godhead have been defined as a person, and that is the Sambandha Tattva. So that means when he is a person, so that means in all the Vedas who have been described having a form, He is full of six opulences, and he has his energy. Now, Tare Nirvishesh Kahi. Shankaracharya says he is without form, without quality, and without energy. Just he exists. Uh, so, in that way, he doesn't accept his Chit Shakti. Uh, so, that means Ardha Swarup na manile purnata hoy hani. When he does not uh, accept his Chit Shakti, means like Supreme Personality of Godhead is always accompanied by his energy. When these energies are not accepted, only his Swarupa is accepted. Ardha Swarup Nama, that means Shakti of the Supreme have been here defined as the half of his Swarupa. Then Purnata Hoy Hani. That means one cannot understand Brahman incomplete. When we speak of the Supreme as impersonal, we deny his spiritual potencies. Logically, if you accept half of the truth, you cannot understand the whole. So this is Mahaprabhu's statement that when Shankaracharya has not accepted the energy Shakti, that means you are accepting half of Brahma Tattva. You will not have complete understanding about him. Prabhupada's purport. In the Upanishads, it is said, Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. This verse, which is mentioned in the Upanishad, Brihad Aranyak Upanishad, and many other Upanishads, indicates that the Supreme Personality of God is full in six opulences. His position is unique, for he possesses all riches, strength, influence, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. He is Bhagavan. Brahman means the greatest, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead is greater than the greatest. Just as the sun globe is greater than the sunshine, which is all pervading in the universe. Although the sunshine that spreads all over the universe appears very strong to the less knowledgeable, greater than the sunshine is the sun itself, and greater than the sun is the sun globe. Similarly, impersonal Brahman is not the greatest, although it appears to be so. Impersonal Brahman is only the bodily effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the transcendental form of the Lord is greater than both the impersonal Brahman and localized Brahman. Therefore, whenever the word Brahman is used in the Vedic literature, it is understood to refer to the Supreme Personality. So, when we say Brahman, means impersonal feature of the Supreme, at the same time, he is a person. So here, whenever in the Vedic literature Brahman is used, the word Brahman, it is understood to refer to the Supreme Personality of God. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is also addressed as Parabrahman. Mayavadis and others sometimes misunderstand Brahman because every living entity is also Brahman. Therefore, Krishna is referred to as Parabrahman, the Supreme Brahman. In the Vedic literature, whenever the word Brahman or Parabrahman are used, They are to be understood to refer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. This is their real meaning. Since the entire Vedic literature deals with the subject of Brahman, Krishna is therefore the ultimate goal of Vedic understanding. The impersonal Brahma Jyoti rests on the personal form of the Lord. Therefore, although the impersonal effulgence, the Brahma Jyoti, is a fast realization, one must enter into it. As mentioned in the Ishopanishad, to find the Supreme Person, and then one's knowledge is perfect. The Bhagavad Gita 7:19 also confirms this. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavanam prapadyate. One search for the absolute truth by dint of speculative knowledge is complete when one comes to the point of understanding Krishna and surrenders unto him. That is the real point of perfectional knowledge. Partial realization of the absolute truth as impersonal Brahman denies the complete opulences of the Lord. This is a hazardous understanding of the absolute truth. One accepts all the features of the absolute truth, namely impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and ultimately the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One's knowledge is imperfect. Sripad Ramanujacharya in his Vedartha Sangraha says, Jnanena dharmena swarupam api nirupitam na tu jnanamatram brahmeti katham idam avagamyate. He thus indicates that the real identity of the absolute truth must be understood in terms of both his knowledge and his characteristics. Simply to understand the absolute truth to be full of knowledge is not sufficient. In the Vedic literature, Mundaka Upanishad, we find the statement Jaha Sarvagya Sarvavit, which means that the absolute truth knows everything perfectly, but we also learn from the Vedic description Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Suyate that not only does he know everything, but he also acts accordingly by utilizing his different energies. Thus, to understand that Brahman, the Supreme, is conscious is not sufficient. One must know how he consciously acts through his different energies. Mayavada philosophy simply informs us of the consciousness of the absolute truth, but does not give us information of how he acts with his consciousness. That is a defect of that philosophy. Very elaborate. So, Mahaprabhu established the Supreme. Now, to get the Supreme, one need to know the process, which is called Avidya Tattva. So that have been discussed in text number 141 and 42. So he is now going to discuss the process of attaining the Lord, which is called Avidya Tattva. So what is Avidya Tattva? What is the process to get near the Lord? What do you think, dear devotees? What could be Avidya Tattva, which will bring us to the Lord?
साधना भक्ति महाराज. So sadhana bhakti.
You gave the right answer. Sadhana bhakti is the Avidya Tattva. the process. Every time we discuss about Sambandha, Krishna is Sambandha Tattva. Sadhana Bhakti is Avideya Tattva. Very good. Now, that Avideya Tattva is being explained 41, 141 and 142. Very nice. भगवान प्राप्ति हेतु जे करी उपाय श्रवण आदि भक्ति कृष्ण प्राप्ति सहाय से भगवान प्राप्ति हेतु जे करी उपाय. When we approach the Lord, what do we do? Shravanadi bhakti. अर्थात नवधा भक्ति. श्रवणम कीर्तनम विष्णु स्मरणम पादसेवनम अर्चनम वंदनासम सख्यमात्म निवेदन. So that navadha bhakti is the avideya tattva. That is how one can approach the Supreme Lord. It is only by devotional service, beginning with hearing, that one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the only means to approach Him. Bhaktyaham ekaya grahya. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. Many times. So by bhakti only. Purport. Mayavadi philosophers are satisfied simply by understanding Brahman to be the sum total of knowledge. But Vaishnava philosophers not only know in detail about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but also know how to approach Him directly. The method for this is described in Sri Chaitanya, by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as 9 kinds of devotional service, beginning with hearing. Savanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Mandanam, Dasim, Sakhyamatma Nivedana. The 9 kinds of devotional service are hearing about Krishna, chanting about Him, remembering Him, offering service to His lotus feet, offering Him worship in the temple, offering prayers to Him, working as His servant, making friendship with Him, and unreservedly surrendering to Him. One can directly approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by executing these 9 kinds of devotional service, of which hearing about the Lord is the most important. Savanadi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has very favorably stressed the importance of this process of hearing. According to his method, if people are simply given a chance to hear about Krishna, certainly they will gradually develop their dormant awareness or love of Godhead. Sravanadi Suddha Chitte Karaye Uday. Lord of God, love of God is dormant in everyone. And if one is given a chance to hear about the Lord, certainly that love develops. See, this is a very important point. This Avideya Tattva is Sravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaran, this is the process, right? So this Shravan Kirtan, what we are doing, if you want to know what is the symptom and what it actually helps the sadhaka to attain, Rupa Goswami, he gives this definition of sadhana bhakti. Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhava sa sadhana vidha nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakatyam iti sadhyata. Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhava. So the activities of the senses which brings one to the platform of bhav. That means when we perform our sadhana bhakti, we employ our senses in the execution of sadhana bhakti. So these engagement of the senses in certain activities which brings the performer to the platform of bhava, that is called sadhana bhakti. Kriti sadhya. Kriti means using the senses, it is cultivated. Sadhya. Bhavet sadhya bhava. The result is the bhava will be awakened. Naha nitya siddhasya bhava se prakritim iti sadhyata. Here it is said, hearing. If people are simply given a chance to hear about Krishna, certainly they will gradually develop their dormant awareness or love of Godhead. So the love is not very easily attained. And this love of God has got many uh, sides also. प्रेम बुद्धि क्रमे नाम स्नेहमान प्रणय राग अनुराग भाव महाभाव है. But everything can be included in prema. Therefore, this love of Godhead, if one wants to attain, the process is one has to hear about the God from a pure devotee. Therefore, according to his method, if people are simply given a chance to hear about Krishna, certainly they will gradually develop their dormant awareness or love of Godhead. Savanadi Suddha Chitta Karaya Uday. Love of God is dormant in everyone, and if one is given a chance to hear about the Lord, certainly that love develops, or our Krishna consciousness movement acts on this principle. We simply give people the chance to hear about the Supreme Personality of God and give them prasadam to eat. And the actual result is that all over the world, people are responding to this process and becoming pure devotees of Lord Krishna. We have opened hundreds of centers all over the world just to give people in general a chance to hear about Krishna and accept Krishna's prasadam. These two processes can be accepted by anyone, even a child. It doesn't matter whether one is poor or rich, learned or foolish, black or white, old or still a child, anyone who simply hears about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and takes prasadam is certainly elevated to the transcendental position of devotional service. Now the same Avideya Tattva is explained in the next verse. Sei sarva veder avideya naam sadhan bhakti hoite hoy premer udgam. By practicing this regulated devotional service under the direction of the spiritual master, certainly one awakens his dormant love of Godhead. This process is called avideya. Purport. By the practice of devotional service, beginning with hearing and chanting, the impure heart of a conditioned soul is purified. And thus, he can understand this eternal relationship, his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That eternal relationship is described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jiver Swarup Hoy Nitya Krishner Nityadas. The living entity is an eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When one is convinced about this relationship, which is called sambandha, he then acts accordingly. That is called avideya. The next step is prayojana siddhi, or fulfillment of the ultimate goal of one's life. If one can understand his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and act accordingly, automatically his mission in life is fulfilled. The Mayavadi philosophers miss even the first stage in self-realization because they have no conception of God's being personal. He is the master of all, and he is the only person who can accept the uh, service of all living entities. But since this knowledge is lacking in, uh, but since this knowledge is lacking in Mayavad philosophy, Mayavadi do not have knowledge even of their relationship with God. They wrongly think that everyone is God or that everyone is equal to God. Therefore, since the real position of the living entity is not clear to them, how can they advance further? Although they are very much purified, they are very much puffed up at being liberated. Mayavadi philosophers very shortly fall down again to material activities due to their neglecting the lotus feet of the Lord, that is called patantyadha. Janya vrindaksha vimukta manna priyasta bhavad avisuddha buddhaya arujya kushena parampadam tata patantyadha anadritismata. Here it is said that persons who think themselves liberated but do not execute devotional service means they don't have love for Krishna. Not knowing their relationship with the Lord are certainly misled. One must know this relationship with the Lord and act accordingly. Then the fulfillment of his life's mission will be possible. Prabhupada is giving big purpose. Then in text number 43, 143, is speaking about Prayojan Tattva. So what is Prayojan Tattva? What is Prayojan Tattva?
Love of Godhead.
Love of God. How to get that? How to get love of God? Huh?
By sadhana process.
Which sadhana? What kind of sadhana?
Loving service to the lotus feet of the Lord.
What do you mean by that?
Engaging every senses.
Like tell us what? Engaging every senses, what you do? Tell us.
Engaging every sense in the service of the Lord.
How you do that? How do that?
Like Ambarish Maharaj's example we are having, like
what you can do? Tell us. What you can do?
Hear about Krishna, do the chanting, worship him.
Then what happens? How it is going to produce prema? Goal. You want prema, that is goal. But how? Because you are chanting, you are doing Jati Seva.
Yes.
By the strength of your sadhana, the service, you can get Krishna Prema.
We have to have sadhu sangha.
Huh?
Sadhu sangha.
No, there is another devotee who was talking something I didn't hear.
We
Yes.
need mercy of the Guru and the government.
Okay.
Maharaj, can we slowly we develop the detachment from this material world, and so we get the attachment and develop the attachment?
Yes, that will automatically happen in the process of sadhana bhakti. When we take up this process, employing our senses, then purification will automatically happen. This is the process of sadhana bhakti. But as he said, the mercy of Guru or Krishna is very, very essential. They say, Nitya Siddhasya Bhavasya Prakatya Medi Sadhyata. See, our practice of sadhana bhakti is not meant for attaining four goals of human life. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. If somebody uses the process of sadhana which have been given to us by Puga Swami to either get because our process, the sadhana bhakti, is supposed to bring us to the level of bhavat and to prema. In the practice of Shuddha Bhakti, aspiration for four goals of human life, Purusartha, is negated. That is not accepted. Then you are not practicing Shuddha Bhakti. So this very process, as you said correctly, be more clear. Every day you chant, every day you cook for the deity, every day you are, preparing garland for the deity, every day you are accepting only Krishna Prasadam. So this very activity when you do and your attachment to the Lord intensifies, while engaged in such consciousness, also you are always praying for the mercy of the Supreme Lord or Krishna devotee, Guru Maharaj. Then the time will come, you will come to the elevated platform. So, Krishner charan hai prayojan tattva. So now he is speaking about prayojan tattva in text number 143. Krishner charana hoy jodi anurag. Krishna binu anyatra tar nahi rahe rag. How can one develop attachment to the lotus feet of Krishna? He is saying Krishner charana hoy jodi anurag. What is the process to get attachment unto lotus feet of Krishna? Association of the devotees. If one develops his love of Godhead and becomes attached to the lotus feet of Krishna, gradually he loses his attachment to everything else. That's why some people are very much afraid of coming near Krishna. There is a prayer also, no, in Bhakti Samta Sindhu, that if you still have desire to enjoy the happiness of the companionship of your friends, the wealth in the material world, and so forth, then don't go and look at the beautiful smiling face of that boy who is standing near Bangsi Ghat, sorry, Keshi Ghat.
Keshigar.
Yasi Ghat and playing on his flute on the bank of Jamuna. He is there. So don't go to see his face. So that is what it is. Huh? And how one can develop this anurag? Saying by hearing about him from a devotee. If one develops his love of Godhead and becomes attached to the lotus feet of Krishna, gradually he loses his attachment to everything else. You can understand. In fact, when one loses attachment to everything else, then only he is happy. But people feel, oh, if I go to Krishna, then I will have to lose everything, so I don't want to go to him. This is opposite thinking. Prabhupada says, our organization is meant for teaching us detachment. ISKCON is teaching us detachment. Purport. This is a taste of advancement in devotional service. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 11-42, Bhaktir Paresanubhava Viraktir Anyatra Chaya. Three things happening. Bhakti, Paresanubhava, Virakti, Anyatra. That means when we are engaged in Shravanam, Kirtanam, you can ask yourself, you can test yourself. This sadhana bhakti, what I am doing, is it actually affecting on me or not? The actual result of sadhana bhakti is attained or not? Three things. Three things will happen. You will have love for Bharat. Means your bhakti is intensifying gradually. And paresanubhava. You will have realization. Then virakti anyatra. Anything which is not related to Krishna, Krishna consciousness, it appears to you just like poison. Who wants to take poison? Nobody. So that is why bhakti paresanubhava. In bhakti, a devotee's only attachment is Krishna. He no longer wants to maintain his attachments to many other things. Although Mayavadi philosophers are supposed to be very much advanced on the path of liberation, we see that after some time they descend to political and philanthropic activities. Many big sannyasis who were supposedly liberated and very advanced have come down again to materialistic activities, although they left this world as mithya, false. When a devotee develops in devotional service, however, he no longer has attachments to such philanthropic activities. He is simply inspired to serve the Lord and he engages in entire life. He engages his entire life in such service. This is the difference between Vaishnava and Mayavadi philosophers. Devotional service, therefore, is practical, whereas Mayavada philosophy is merely mental speculation. Then, text number 145 and 145, the glory of Krishna Prem is being discussed. पंचम पुरुषार्थ से प्रेम महाधन कृष्ण माधुर्य रस कराय आस्वादन प्रेमा हईते कृष्ण है निज भक्तवश प्रेमा हईते पाय कृष्णेर सेवा सुख रस. पंचम पुरुषार्थ से प्रेम महाधन. Love of God head is the fifth goal of human life. পঞ্চম পুরুষার্থ সেই প্রেম মহাদান কৃষ্ণের মাধুর্য রস করায় আস্বাদ So, by awakening one's love of Godhead, one can attain the platform conjugal love, testing it even during the present span of life. সাধন শুদ্ধ ভক্তি রতজনে স্বাধীনতা রত্ন জানে রাগ মার্গে করানো প্রবেশ রাগবশবর্তী হয়ে পরকীয়া ভাবাশ্রয়ে লোভে জীব কৃষ্ণ প্রেমাবেশ So when one has deep attachment to the execution of sadhana bhakti, then Krishna will automatically give this jewel of independence, which is called raga bhakti, which is a component for the execution of raga bhakti. Then he will make the sadhaka enter into the raganuga sadhana. By awakening one's love of God, and this is the process. The Mayavadi philosophers consider the highest goal of perfection to be liberation, mukti, which is the fourth perfectional platform. Generally, people are aware of four principal goals of life: religiosity, dharma, economic development, artha, sense gratification, kama, and ultimately liberation, moksha. But devotional service is situated on the platform above liberation. In other words, when one is actually liberated, he can understand the meaning of love of Godhead. Krishna Prem. While teaching Rupa Goswami, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu stated, Koti Mukta Madhya Durlabh Eka Krishna Bhakta. Out of millions of liberated persons, one may become a devotee of Lord Krishna. The most elevated Mayavadi philosopher can rise to the platform of liberation. But Krishna Bhakti, devotional service to Krishna, is transcendental to such liberation. Srila Vyasadeva explains this fact in Srimad Bhagavatam. Dharma projjita kaitavatra parama nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavamatra vastu sivadam tapatrayo moolanam. Completely rejecting all religions which are materially motivated. Kaitava dharma is totally rejected. The Bhagavad Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are pure in heart. The best truth is reality, distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. Srimad Bhagavatam, the explanation of the Vedanta Sutra, is meant for Paramo Nirmatsaranam, those who are completely aloof from jealousy. Mayavadi philosophers are jealous of the existence of the supreme personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Vedanta Sutra is not actually meant for them. They unnecessarily spoke their names into the Vedanta Sutra, but they have no ability to understand it because, as the author of the Vedanta Sutra writes in his commentary, Srimad Bhagavatam, it is meant for them who are pure in heart. Paramo Nirmatsaranam. If one is envious of Krishna, how can he understand the Vedanta Sutra or Srimad Bhagavatam? The Mayavadi primarily Mayavadi's primary occupation is to offer the supreme personality of Godhead Krishna, offhand, the supreme personality of Godhead Krishna. For example, although Krishna demands our surrender in the Bhagavad Gita, the greatest scholar and so-called philosopher in modern India has presented that it is not to Krishna that he has to surrender. Therefore, he is envious. Since Mayavadis of all different descriptions are envious of Krishna, they have no scope for understanding the meaning of the Vedanta Sutra. Even if they are on the liberated platform, as they falsely claim, love of Krishna is beyond the state of liberation. A fact stated by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and respected here by Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. Same, the glory of Prema. He discussed Prema hoite Krishna hoy nij bhakta vesh, Prema hoite pai Krishna seva sukha, sukharas. The Supreme Lord, who is greater than the greatest, becomes submissive to even a very insignificant devotee because of his devotional service. It is beautiful and exalted nature of devotional service that the infinite Lord becomes submissive to the infinitesimal living entity because of it. In reciprocal devotional service with the Lord, the devotee actually enjoys the transcendental mellow of devotional service. Purport: becoming one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not very important for a devotee. Mukti swayam mukulitanjali sevate smam Krishna Karnamrita. Speaking from his actual experience, Srila Vilumangal Thakur says that if one develops love of Godhead, mukti, liberation, becomes subservient and unimportant to him. Mukti stands before the devotee and is prepared to render all kinds of services. The Mayavadi philosopher's standard of mukti is very insignificant for a devotee. For by devotional service, when the Supreme Personality of God, it becomes subordinate to him. An actual example is that the Supreme Lord Krishna became the chariot driver of Arjuna. He became chariot driver of Arjuna. And when Arjuna asked him to draw his chariot between the two armies, Senavirugar Madhye Ratham Sthapamechuta, Krishna executed his order. Such is the relationship between Supreme Lord and a devotee, that although the Lord is greater than the greatest, he is prepared to render service to the insignificant devotee by dint of his sincere and honorable devotional service. This is the glory of Krishna, friend. He agreed to become Krishna's chariot driver. This is his love for his devotee. Any question or comment?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, we would like to hear more again and again from you. I think like it very quickly, time is finished, Prabhu. Like
Yeah,
2 minutes
today
before you
I
start,
have
now
also
we
some
finish.
other thing to do today, otherwise I could have continued today, you know, Prabhu. I have to do some other thing. So today we will conclude here.
Okay.
This chapter will finish soon. We'll finish and we'll open another chapter also. Anyway, a few more. Yeah. Friday. Next Friday. Let's see if we can finish or not. The following. We'll try. Okay, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Vancha Kulpatauruscha Sindhu Patitanam